Okay, before I begin my review, I really should address something that happened with some copies of Sailormoon number 5. Now, my copy I bought at Walmart a week ahead of the Amazon sale date. Now, if you follow NJ, you'll probably note that there's been a couple of users that have gotten some copies of the book from Amazon and there's smudging on the pages. I'm happy to report that the Walmart print seems to be smudge-free. As you can see, Demande and Sailormoon look about fine. Remove my bookmark. The Sailor Senshi look fine. And this was the big blemish that I saw. Now in my copy, Sailor Jupiter and Sailor Mars look just fine. And it doesn't look like any further damage has been done. Now, because of the damage of these other copies, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Amazon has some explaining to do. Those smudges are what happens either when you have too much ink on the printer or when your book has been exposed to water damage. Speaking as a long-time Amazon customer, I can definitely say that this is something that you need to take up with Amazon. This does not look like a Kodansha problem. This looks like water damage has happened. So if I was you, I would contact Amazon immediately and ask for an exchange. Well, now that that bit of business has been taken care of, this is my review of Sailormoon number 5. This is the book that closes out the Black Moon story arc, and wow, there's a lot of plot changing that goes on. Now, if you're a fan of the anime, I'm going to warn you right now, the following images are going to really shatter whatever you thought you knew about Sailor Moon. If you missed out on the manga before, you've got a really great chance to catch up. You're going to notice a lot of big fat story changes. In my last review, I may or may not have noted that Diana makes an appearance several books ahead of the anime. In the anime, Diana only appears in Sailor Moon Super S. Here she debuts in what we would consider the Sailor Moon R story arc, but I'll get to some of the more technical aspects of that later. Just like before, I have to point out that when they made the reprint manga, they consolidated a lot of the titles into fewer books. The original set was 18 books, they've reduced it to 12. So, when you buy this book, you're actually getting a book and a half. These are the original Tokyo Pop reprints, and you can even tell in the way the covers are drawn that there are some big artwork changes. You know, aside of the fact that this book starts with a spoiler, you're not supposed to see this outfit till Sailor Moon stars. Oopsies! Now, the Japanese version, as you can see, is not only smaller, it's also quite a bit pale. I don't know what happened here. When Kodansha released this book in Japan, a lot of the covers came out very, very pale. The color is completely washed out. I mean, I had to look close to see that these are rainbows in her hand. Whereas the English reprint, this is fixed, and you see all of her beautiful skin tone. The spines are a little bit closer this time around. The Japanese has a little more yellow to it, but it's kind of subtle. And here we have the dazzling back. The Japanese version, we have Sailor V with very pale skin, just like Hotaru. Whereas the English print, her skin tone has been completely restored, and it's just beautiful. And again, we have our warning, and yes, this warning is very much needed. Ages 13 and up. This is definitely not a kid's book. Not as graphic as last month's manga, but definitely you don't want your little brother and sister getting a hold of it. And let's see what the slipcover color is this time. It's a very very faint orange. Almost mango when you see it in person. Very pale. And again, the English print, everything is in HD. So all of this comes out in nice, vibrant colors. The Japanese print, very pale. I really wish Kodansha had thought about this. Now, remember in my last video, I zoomed in on this picture of Chibiusa in black and white? Well, when this first came out, this picture appeared with one of the last book's stories, Book 4, and they printed this picture right on top of a picture of Usagi and Mamoru doing it. Well, this time they corrected that. They put her in a much better place, and she's across from her parents. And this actually looks much more detailed in the English version. The colors are vibrant again. And you can see a lot of detail in the outfit. Oh, and thanks to all of the belly aching from all the fans, they corrected the first page's blunder. This is no longer printed on glossy, this is now printed on regular manga paper. So I don't want to hear any more belly aching. Now, in case you're wondering, this is the first book in the Japanese version where there is no mini manga in the back. Books 2, 3, and 4 have them, and then we don't see any additional manga in the back. So there's no more missing pages. In fact, the English version has some extra pages. Let me show you. You're not going to start getting any more mini manga until next year anyway. This time we have a preview of Sailormoon number 6, and yep, you get your first shot of Hotaru. And, well, we'll find out what her name is going to be next month, in June, I believe. June or July. The link's on the bottom of the video. Now, the Tokyopop version is a printing of the first Japanese print of Sailor Moon. I think I talked about that in another video. If you have both of the books, you're going to notice a lot of big artwork changes. Like, we're not talking subtle differences this time. Like here, we have this little side picture thrown in of Usagi and Mamoru. And then in the reprint, we have a different picture. Originally, this picture didn't appear until a different manga later in the series. I'm not sure why they decided to change this at Kodansha, but could be something Naoko decided, so I'm not going to argue with it. The scene where Usagi is starting to realize how bad the damage is to 30th Century has been changed too. The new print, we have this beautiful digital image of the 30th Century, whereas the Tokyopop version, well, this is all we got. That's just lazy. I can't really show all of the changes. I'm just going to notice the big ones that I noticed. Oh, also, if you can find the Tokyopop book on eBay, you're going to notice some of the language changing too. Like here, Sapphire says, "You must get this across to him," whereas Saphir says, "You absolutely need to warn others." The English print has a much closer translation to the Japanese, less slang, and a lot of the panels are going to make a lot more sense if you have these older Tokyopop books. Again, we have completely different artwork for the scene where Sailor Moon finally is able to transform again. In the Tokyopop version, this is how she was drawn. Longer nose, not much detail in the locket. That's how the original panel with her and the locket started. Whereas in the English reprint, there's more digital screen tone, the eyes are drawn a little bit better, and then we have more shading and detail in the outfit, and of course the brooch is drawn in, and we have better shading in the eyes. Okay, I need to address this character, and not just because this is Chibiusa, evil and grown up. Difficult history lesson here. For those of you who were not around to see the DiC version of Sailor Moon R, let me catch you up to speed. There was a big fat controversy involving this character's name. Now, in the original Japanese version, she was named Black Lady. And the reason why is because she is the lady of the Black Moon family, Queen of Nemesis. Okay? Now, when DiC got a hold of the anime, they had a problem with her character. Once they had been allowed via the program exchange, the final 18 episodes of Sailor Moon R, they didn't know how to handle her. At the time, the manga had not really come out yet. There were only a few issues out on the shelves, and you really had to hunt for them. Tokyo Pop was not as big as it would be later. And they didn't know how to handle this name because DiC is a subsidiary of Disney, or at least they were. They're owned by the Cookie Jar now. And the people at Disney did not want this very pale-looking Japanese woman walking around with a name like Black Lady, because that would absolutely piss off the NAACP. And if you don't know who that is, you really ought to Google them. When Tokyo Pop finally got their hands on the Sailor Moon R story arc, they decided to ditch DiC's new name for her. DiC had renamed her Wicked Lady, and this is even the name on the doll. Some fan translations called her Dark Lady to get around this, but here, Tokyo Pop called her Black Lady, specifically because, well, she's wearing black and she's part of the Black Moon family. I think we've established this. Well, a lot of we Sailor Moon fans were really up in arms because we didn't know how Kodansha was going to handle this. I mean, it's a new world. We're certainly less tolerant now. Well, I'm happy to report nothing's changed. She's still the Queen of Nemesis, Black Lady. And there's plenty of new panels with her, too. Plenty of panels that have been redrawn, so you get a lot more detail. So if you're as big a fan of her as I am, this is going to be a real treat. Another thing I should point out before I continue, Sailor Moon number 5 is the first book without translation notes. And that's pretty interesting because there is a little honorific that I'm surprised nobody wanted to cover. In the original Kodansha print of the manga, this panel reads, "Your daughter, Small Lady Serenity." Well, when they did the reprint manga in Japan, and you will find this in the Japanese book as well as the English, her name is abbreviated, Usagi SL Serenity. And that's fine, it's the same name. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Another thing that has been left entirely alone, and I kind of wish that something had been written in its place, and this is one of the rare times you're going to hear me say that, that's her dad. That is her father. Now, some Sailor Moon websites used to argue about Chibiusa, Usagi, and Mamoru's relationship. They used to say that these two really don't view her as their daughter yet, because she hasn't been born in our timeline yet, and they don't technically count as mother and father. I, on the other hand, had a science major. I know how DNA works. Ew! This is also the book where Chibiusa becomes Sailor Chibi Moon, and I want to point something out. When Tokyo Pop released the original version of the manga, it was drawn differently. Like here, it just looks like Chibiusa's head has been Xeroxed onto Black Lady's body. When they did the reprint in Japan, they added some digital effect and took out a lot of the body lines. I'm not sure why, but this is one of the rare times that anything has been censored. And again, this is in the Japanese print too. This is not new to the Kodansha print. I won't spoil how it happens, but this is the first manga in which a Sailor Senshi dies. And if you're a Sailor Pluto fan, well, you're going to hate this because it's Sailor Pluto. When Tokyo Pop handled it, they didn't really do very much with the printing. You just get this very dark ink blot. Kodansha corrects this, so you can see the tone in her face, and it's a very sad scene. And it's also the catalyst for why Black Lady becomes Chibiusa again. This is the pivotal scene where Chibiusa becomes Sailor Chibi Moon. Her transformation from Black Lady to Sailor Chibi Moon is all in one fell swoop, and it's drawn very nicely in the original, and better in the reprint. More detail, more effects. In both versions, Mamoru addresses his daughter's change. In the Tokyo Pop version it says, "The birth of a new scout to take over as Sailor Moon." In the reprint it says, "A new guardian to inherit the post of Sailor Moon was just born." And essentially that's what's happened. Each of the Sailor Senshi's daughters are supposed to be the new guardian for that planet. Like in this instance, Sailor Chibi-Moon is only Chibi because she's not done with her training yet. I mean, this is brand new. And she will one day take over as Sailor Moon. Something that people like to play with when it comes to the parallel Senshi as well. They have the same destiny, even Kurosagi. So in case anything should happen, Kurosagi is to either share this mantle with Chibiusa or take over in case Chibiusa becomes queen or what have you. Believe it or not, Wise Man is actually the character benefiting the most from the reprint. This is the original Tokyo pop print of the book. And you can see how he's drawn here, and that will scare you no matter how old you are. Whereas in the Kodansha print, they've added some more digital tone. And you're going to find this all over the book. There are instances where Wise Man has almost a 3D effect. And it's actually pretty cool. Chibiusa's character is a little bit different from the Tokyo Pop version too. She's a lot calmer, which I think I covered in the last video. And she's much more mature as Sailor Chibi-Moon than you might expect. So if you are as big a Chibiusa fan as I am, you're definitely going to want to pick this up. This is an interesting scene. I'm sorry I haven't seen animated yet. There's actually a scene where Neo Queen Serenity dubs new titles onto the Sailor Senshi. She's not asleep all of the time. She actually does something, for those of you just catching up. In the Tokyo Pop version, she lists Mars as the Scout of War, Mercury, Scout of Wisdom, Jupiter, Scout of Protection, Venus, Scout of Love, Sailor Moon, Scout of Sanctity. It's slightly different in the Tokyo Pop version. The Kodansha version. Mars, Guardian of War, Mercury, Guardian of Wisdom, Jupiter, Guardian of Protection, Venus, Guardian of Love, and then Sailor Moon, Guardian of Mystery. That's you in the past, Neo Queen Serenity. So you're mysterious to yourself? That's interesting. The original Tokyo Pop ending of Sailor Moon R bleeds into Sailor Moon S. So you kind of get two story arcs with Tokyo Pop Sailor Moon book number 7. But I'm going to use this just to give you a little tease for the next installment of the series. So this is how they drew the first pages of the new story arc. And this is what you're getting in the Kodansha print. This is how the Tokyo Pop version of this story comes, with the first 2 pages. And you can see that there's a lot of talking going on, and a lot of space has been consolidated. This changes in the new Kodansha books. Instead, we have brand new drawings of she who will be named next video, including a new sketch of Hotaru, and a really detailed new sketch of the city. That's going to be very important. Another spoiler. The last 2 pages are very important because this is the first time you can see that Hotaru, Rei, and Mamoru all have psychic visions. This is not just something for Sailor Mars. Something that's touched on a lot in the manga, not so much in the anime. This is the only of the 3 groupings of pages that has not been entirely redrawn from the ground up. But you can notice the subtle differences. And certainly the screen toning is prevalent. Links are at the bottom of the video if you want to purchase this copy and of course get a head start on the next book. Before I close this video off, I want to give you one more little treat. A very good Samaritan emailed and reminded me that when I did my review of Sailor Moon number 2, I somehow forgot the artwork. Well, this is an oversight, and I do apologize. So I just thought you'd like to see one little treat here. So of course we've got the opening cover, and keep in mind, with Kodansha books, the Japanese prints are usually more pale than the English. This is the English print, of course. And I wanted to talk a bit about this. You've probably seen an anime adaptation of this picture, one from the Super S season. This is, of course, Sailor Moon's first story arc. But this is the picture that I love the best. Here we see this first inner senshi with hair coloring that matches their own powers. And then we have Usagi with bright pink hair. And she looks like another familiar little character, one that I just don't shut up about, do I? My next review is going to be quite interesting.